All right, now we're going to assemble. We are going to be using, I washed all the white lithium out of the fittings when I took them apart, and that's why I used white lithium to begin with. And we're going to be putting it back together with the silicone lubricating grease with PTFE. So it should work good for us. I will give you an honest review. I've never used that yet on polyurethane, but guys have, and they've been having really, really good luck with that stuff. So that's why I chose to try it instead of buying the specific grease for these. Apparently this is even better. We'll see. I'll give you an honest review. It's just Super Loops silicone lubricating grease. It's actually meant for food grade. It's dielectric and everything else. So dielectric, usually if something's dielectric, it usually has good water, repelling water, moisture and stuff, which is a good thing in this. So it could be good grease. I don't know. We'll see if it works good, and it also repels grease and stuff, or water and stuff well. I see no problems with it at all. Plus it's clear. It's like a clear grease, but it is a silicone. So you know, in our situation, had I used that when I first assembled them, pretty much I would have had nothing but fish eyes around this and everywhere we touched, because silicone and paint are like, it's a painter's worst nightmare. Silicone stuff. So anyway, it should be pretty good grease. We'll get going on it. I'm going to clean the threads out. I'm going to clean these threads out. I didn't mask them off. I just was going to wire wheel them. I already did this one. It goes really fast, just running around there. And then I'm going to heat up the bushings just like last time and put them together. So have fun watching. It's going to suck for me because this is going to take a while. I'd probably have about an hour and a half or so of project to do on this, which this isn't what I want to be doing. I want to be getting suspension under it, not putting bushings in. So just bear with us. Okay, and now I'm going to touch up the paint while I set it aside. There's a couple spots that I kind of went on thin when I put them together. So I went in and I kind of stole one of Akila's makeup brushes in the bathroom. They work really, really good for doing touch-up. They're super fine. And then just rinse them out with lacquer thinner and you can put them back. She'll never know. Or maybe she will, and she'll just rinse it out real good, or she'll have paint on her face, huh? Permanent makeup. But they are literally the best touch-up brushes you can get. They hold a bunch of paint. This is SEM trim black. It's a really, really nice satin black. You could probably pretty easily paint a car with it, I imagine. It dries well. You have to kind of use low air pressure on it, or it dries in the air, and it'll get real. It leaves like a fog layer on everything. So there's that. You can thin it down, and that helps that not happen. But it is really good paint. It dries really fast though, so that's one of the biggest problems with it. Should be good. So I always just keep it in lacquer, keep the brush in lacquer thinner if you're doing it intermittently like we are. And then this is just wax and grease remover. All right, so we are going to throw the axle, we're going to throw the coilers in, we're going to throw all our control arms on, and then we're going to lower the car down and pin our axles, and that's all going to be in fast forward. You've seen all that done before, but I am going to talk about the hardware. So I am using all fine thread grade 8 hardware. Fine thread is kind of like putting your transfer case in low. So you'll actually have more clamping force with the same torque on a fine thread. And then in addition, it's less likely to cut into the hole if it's getting worked real bad. Like say the bolt were to come loose a little bit and it starts working around, it won't cut in so bad to the hole, hogging the hole out. So it'll help in that regard as well. You know, just because there's more contact area through the hole, you know, it's 4 threads instead of 2 threads are hitting. And then in addition to that, we are running Belleville washers, and I'll show you real quick what a Belleville washer is. So they're a cupped washer. It's like a cup, and then it'll flatten out as you torque it. And these are the serrated versions. So it'll actually cut in with all those serrated parts into the bolt head and into the part, and it will keep the bolt from being able to shift in the hole, which is good. So now the only play we could possibly have if this were to stay tight would be just the bolt, the play in the bolt through the hole, which is very, very little. So this should keep us nice and tight while we're going. These are considered a safety washer, so that they're used in something that you really don't want to. I mean, if the bolt were to come loose or something, would be detrimental. That's what these things are engineered for. That's what they're designed for. That's why they're shipped from Germany. They're like a no-joke washer. A couple of rules with them though. The serrated ones, you don't want to put them on paint. The paint will just fill up the serratedness. It'll make it less effective. So if you are very, very concerned about something coming loose, make sure it's steel to steel, special joint, or whatever you want to call it, so that thing has the best chance of working as possible. So anyway, let's get going. I'm going to pin the coilovers first. Then we're going to pin all our control arms. I'm going to tie them up, drop the car down, roll the axles under it, pin them up, lift the car up, and we will have a suspension in. All we'll have to do is tighten it up, and then we're going to have to do some math and stuff to figure out. We still have yet to come up with limit straps, and we need to make limit straps for this thing. So, but I need the drive lines in. The rear I'm not worried about. It's going to be fine. But I need the front drive line in so I can figure out where if it's going to bind. So we may have to limit its downward travel a little bit before we would necessarily have to, just with the coilovers limitation. We may be limited because of the drive line. So we need to look at that. And then cross our fingers that our control arms clear our oil pan. I'm a little worried about it, but I think it's going to be okay, but I'm still worried about it because, you know, you never know. So anyway, here goes, all in fast forward. Enjoy. Okay, so now that we got the whole cars back together, now we're going to screw up our paint a little bit because we still need our limit straps. So what I did is I have the car sitting right where it would be. This is pretty much the max for our driveline in this current scenario. So our limit straps are on the outside, so we never have to worry about the tire or about the driveline getting extended any farther. That would be the farthest it was ever extended, and articulation it would always be up higher, no matter which way, since our straps are going to be on the outside, because our straps are going to go right here. So I already bolted the tabs on, kind of eyeballed this where I want it, but I'm gonna put them right here, and you want to get those things as straight as you possibly can, so that they'll work the best that they can possibly work without breaking. And then they prefer if you put them in between two ears instead of just bolted onto an ear. And that for a couple reasons. Honestly, this thing is so strong, if you were just to bolt it to one ear, most likely you'd just pull your ear off, or pull your ear off of what, or tear whatever it was welded to. So it will help distribute that weight through two. Now it'll be pulling straighter on the strap and on the ears. If you have two and you're pulling in between them, then if you just had one, it would be kind of turning it sideways when it pulled real hard. So now all I'm going to do is just hold it right where I want it. I'll probably lower the car down just a little bit below where I want it to, because obviously this is going to stretch a little bit. I have it down now a little bit lower than where I'm going to actually limit it. But I'll probably drop it down just a touch more so that I don't have to pull this thing quite so tight. And then we'll just tack the ears on, and then we'll take the strap off and then weld it up. So we're gonna have to clean the paint up, and while we tack it, we don't want to get any BBs on that. And if only we had something around the shop that I could protect that with. Oh yeah, tin foil. We'll put tin foil on it. That was me being sarcastic. We'll wrap this thing up in tin foil. We're gonna get it set on there. We're gonna clean up the paint first. We'll get it set on there. We'll just eyeball as straight as possible, keeping all the ears as straight as possible. They're gonna be being kind of twisted on this frame so that they follow the arm. But basically they're gonna it's gonna sit just like that. And we're gonna do that on both sides in the front, and then we'll move to the back. The back we're gonna have to limit it just to protect the coil over. Not anything in the suspension. The suspension's fine and the driveline's fine on the back, but on the front we do have to limit the travel. We're limiting it, probably 2 inches or so of travel straight, not articulation. Articulation will still have probably 12 inches, but straight compression we're going to be down to about 10. So before it bottoms out. So anyway, let's get going on it. out of here. It's making me nervous. We got it held up by a real ratchet strap right now. It's actually compressing the coil over, and it is stretched to its limit. Now when those cool, we can put the strap on and actually let it suspend, but we'll probably want to put some paint on it first. So we're going to let it cool. We'll leave the bolts in it. We'll go set up the other side. I'll just film that one. I'm not even going to film it. Like I'm going to do the other side just the same as I did this one. I'm just going to be measuring. We'll use that. I'm just going to be measuring how I'm finding the height. Since we have all this stuff laid out pretty good, we're confident in it. From the pad to the bottom there, it's just an easy thing to measure too, so I just make both sides the same. Technically, I could make the other side longer because we don't need to limit it so much, because that side doesn't have so many problems with it dropping farther. But just so when we launch, like if we get airborne, I want them even so that when we land, we're not hitting the driver's side first every time, which we probably will anyway because the fatty will be driving it. So anyway, I'm gonna go do the other side, and we'll be back and we'll do the back. All right, so now they're tight. So now our ears are straight, obviously in where it's going to be when it maxes out. Making sure it's not trying to twist our arms, otherwise we would have messed up our location. That's something I forgot to mention. So we wanted to make sure that we weren't, as it was stretched out, not rotating our arms. Twisting them, because these will twist obviously in there, and we need all the twist we can for articulation. So everything we set up, that's how we set it up. That's just another thing to watch for, is make sure you're not welding your ears on while the arm is turned, which will happen, unfortunately. There's nothing that really holds them centered unless you were to put like a real soft rubber bushing in there, which is possible, but then it traps contaminants and everything else. So anyway, now that our ears are nice and straight, we'll cinch the bolts up, and then these will just basically be locked right there, and then the strap will hopefully bend in as we compress the suspension, just so it doesn't get in the way of the tire. But the tire's going to have to be turned pretty good to get in the way of it. But if it bows out this way, we're going to have to try to train this thing to stretch to the inside when it's compressed. I think it will naturally, because I put these in straight so that it's trying to turn it in. But you never know. We'll see when we go to set it down after we tighten them up. I'm going to check the driveline and make sure we don't have any binding. We're good. You don't want any clicking or any where it gets hard for a second. If that happens, well, this thing's actually spinning at speed. Your U-joint will be wiped out the first time you get light on it. So I left us quite a bit. I actually have 1/8 of an inch there, which is more, but I wanted to make sure that we could adjust the camber on this. I'm running really crudely. I'm about 3 degrees caster on this right now, which is like the minimum you'd want to run. And that's something we're going to have to adjust. Without cutting the knuckles off of these things, you're kind of stuck with this pinion having to be down. You can't really cheat it up, or it ruins your caster. So that is one problem with us just using a factory rear end like this, or axle like this, and not cutting the knuckles off of it in this situation. But we are going to build a new front axle for this thing, a heavier duty front axle for this thing at a later time. Either that, or we'll upgrade, or we'll build another Dana 44 that's upgraded to be a lot stronger. You can build these pretty strong, and you do have quite a bit of ground clearance with them. So since we're not building a rock bouncer, we don't need to build something super robust because we're not going to be doing that bouncing like a rock bouncer does. So anyway, so that's the front. Let's move on to the back. Okay, so here's what I came up with. This is actually bolted into the factory upper control, no, that's the lower control arm mount, yeah, I think. I don't remember. Yeah, that's the lower control arm mount, and then the uppers were somewhere up in there. And we cut them off. But anyway, so I'm gonna bolt this to there. I got one spacer in it, and I bolted to it. That's a grade 8 bolt, and this is very thick. We're not gonna twist the frame, so it would be nice if I put an ear out here, but I don't think it's necessary keeping it that close in like that. And then we're just gonna go to the lower control arm right there. I have the axle up an inch, a little actually greater than an inch this time, because I'm not sure. This has a little bit of a disadvantage because it's about a foot up the lower control arm. There's a little bit of disadvantage there, but it's pretty much only weight back here. There's not a ton of preload on this rear spring pack, so it doesn't have that pushing real hard. So this should be fine, but I'm gonna clean it up. I'm gonna tack them on this time. I'm gonna bolt it back on, and then I'll actually lower it down and make sure that I want to keep it about an inch. That way, when it does shock, if we were to jump the car or something real high speed, this will stretch a little bit, and I want to make sure we're not bottoming out the strock, or at least it's slowing it down a lot before it happens. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to clean it up, and I'm going to get this tacked on there, and we'll see if it works. Bob is hot. It is 100. Well, it's probably down now. It's probably around 100 right now. He has a nice air-conditioned office, but he wants to be here with us. So he is melted. I think he might be dead. Bob, are you dead? Yep, he's dead. Well, R.I.P. Bob.
Oh, you're not dead. Oh, okay.
I'm bothering him. He's taking a nap. All right, so there it is sitting on the ground. apologize for it being so long since a video came out. We are moving right now, so we're going to be moving houses and shops. So, and unfortunately, that means that this project is going to be on hold for a little while, a couple months probably. And while we're getting the shop ready, and then building a new shop that to house all my cars that I have, the ridiculous amount of cars. So we have to have new shop built to park all those. The shop that is there already, which is a fairly large shop, but it's 30 by 70 by 16 and a half foot under the ceiling. It's big enough for a studio for building a car like this, and then having our equipment in there, but there's no room left for parking cars and stuff in it. So we are going to be probably adding on to that shop and stuff later, but for now we're moving into that shop. That's going to be the studio, and then we're building another shop just to have the other cars parked in. But in the middle of all this, we need to get out of this house so I can sell it. So that we actually have some money to do said things, because now we own 2 houses, and obviously it took all our money to get into the second house. The cool part is we have 40 acres of treed property on a hillside. A lot of it's on a hillside, so it has some really cool testing grounds, so we can actually go out and test our rigs out that we build right on our own property. I've already taken the Blaze Actor out and checked it out. We had a blast doing it. I will do a GoPro video and we will go back through so you can see our testing grounds. It's really cool stuff. So videos coming out soon will not be Safari Wagon, unfortunately. It will be us building up the new shop, us getting ready to build the new shop, which involves tearing down a house. So we will, that will be kind of fun to do that. We maybe we'll get creative and do something fun with that thing. So anyway, stay tuned. There'll be some cool videos coming out, just not going to be Safari Wagon. The Ford screwed us over on this thing. Unfortunately, we ended up in some really weird valve train geometry, so that engine ended up coming back out of it, and I put the stock engine back in it, and we are going to finish that thing up on a test stand at a later time, the new engine. So I changed the rear main seal and everything on it, so it wasn't a leaker anymore, and just put the stock engine back in it. There was nothing wrong with it. It was just old and tired. So it's still old and tired, but at least it's old and tired and it keeps its oil in the oil pan now. So anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. I'll take you on a little trip around the property in the Blaze Actor with the GoPro. See you then.